What's up? I got my bro Dolan here,
Hello.
and I wanted to bring him in because I had a topic that was kind of heavy on my heart, and I was gonna do this solo, but Dolan happened to be in the hood, and he swung by, and even though he's totally unprepared, he was like, "Yeah, I'll talk about this with you," and it's gonna be fine because what I want to talk about is the lost art of brotherhood. And Dolan's a brother, and I don't think that he's gonna have any trouble having some deep insights for this. So, um, uh, since 1990, though, the amount of men who say that they have six or more close friends has declined by more than 50%. And you could make the argument that, well, maybe the bonds have just gotten closer. But I really don't think that that's the case. I think that the lack of necessity for in-person social interaction is actually what's driven that, because you no longer have I, I don't think that there's an issue with tribalism. I think that there's an issue with the tribes getting too specific. And what I see on the internet now is in almost every corner, tribes are formed based on one hyper specific idea. And if you disagree on that one point, you get lit up pretty hard. And not in the broy way, but like you get anathematized from the church of whatever it is that is being discussed.
Yeah.
And I think that when I think on any of the brothers that I have, like the guys who could call me and say, "Dude, I need you to show up right now," and I would show up ready to unalive some folks if necessary. We disagree on several things.
hmm
Like I got in an argument with my buddy on pit bulls yesterday, and I don't care. But when I see, are pit bulls dangerous being discussed on the internet, it's either you think that they're baby eating monsters, in which case we can be friends, or if you disagree with that, then you you it's like you're less than human for having that idea. And that's just one example, but I feel like because when we get on the internet, we represent a version of ourselves that's not actually real.
hmm
It's it's most often the worst version of ourselves. And that's what I observe from my own behavior too. Like if if I was out in public and I hear somebody saying something like, honestly, I believe gender is on a spectrum. I don't immediately get furious and start calling that person the gamer word.
hmm
I I'm honestly pretty curious, and I want to have a good conversation with them about why they think that is. And yeah, I disagree with them, and I'm probably gonna want to challenge that idea. But when I see that on the internet, my first instinct is almost always to go straight to name calling and
hmm
like disregard that person as even a human for being so brazen as to have that opinion. And I try to fight that instinct really hard, but what do you what do you see in within the culture of not just people but men specifically, and how our interactions with each other have changed?
I think I see a lot of different things as you're talking. Some things that come to mind are one, respect. And like you were saying, we can defer on different things, but um, we can still have respect for one another. And I think sometimes respect is earned a little bit with men. Um, it's not always just freely given. And like something I really appreciated about you when we were in the gym is like you would correct me and encourage me on different things that you saw me doing when I was a new hire. And you were 23, I think I was like 28. There's a little bit of an age gap there, but I really respected you for having the cojones to come up to somebody who's older than you and call me out on, my flaws or whatever it was that was presenting. And I learned a lot from that season from you. And so I really appreciate it, and I gained a lot of respect for you. And although I think some synergy is necessary on maybe some core beliefs, like there's obviously grace for maybe despairing or on whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
just differences in opinions. And yeah, so that's kind of some of my first thoughts. I think another thing is like you're kind of talking about why men struggle in brotherhood, and something that I would say I have like a handful of close brothers in life. Maybe no, like definitely less than like 10, where I could definitely call and be like for any reason. And I would say like the common thread for all of those guys is that we've all like gone through some sort of challenging phase or season of life together. We've all gone through the trenches together and suffered together in some way through seasons of life. And I think that's maybe something that is lost in culture, is that there's not always an environment for men to suffer together.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes men are suffering alone. Or they struggle to engage with other guys because they're afraid or whatever it is. But there's just not a lot of adversity for guys to go through together. And I see it all the time in the gym, like two random strangers, like even in the gym when we were coaching, like guys who are completely on different, opposite aisles of the political, spectrum. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can be friends and they can banter, and like just because they're suffering in the gym together. And there is that earned respect through that suffering together. And so that's kind of maybe one challenge I've seen in culture lately, is like there's just not space for men to go through stuff together.
I actually think that's what, as broy as gym culture is, especially for the two or three youngest generations, I honestly think that there's something kind of magical about it, and that it might be the last widespread community where, because you are embracing that suffering together, you both
Yeah,
went out of your way and are paying, probably if you're going to a gym, you're paying to inflict suffering upon yourself
yeah,
for the sake of growing. And one dude comes up and asks you to spot him one time. You've never met this guy in your life. And he grinds that set out. He moves some weight and he finishes and he's like, "Thanks, bro. I appreciate that." And then every time you see that dude, when you go into the gym from here on out, you're like, "Oh, that's a good dude. I like that guy over there." Like
mm-hmm,
that's one of my gym bros, and I don't even know his name.
mm-hmm.
Like that literally happened the other day. Spotted a dude, don't even know his name, but if I ever see him getting in a fight, I'm just automatically gonna have his back. And that's how the average guy in the gym is.
Yeah,
And that's like the last space that guys go out of their way to socialize with each other, aside from church,
uh,
at least in modern times, because everything else is done, it's done on the internet. And you can't you can't avoid the fact that somebody has just demonstrated a behavior that's worthy of respect in the gym.
yeah,
You get on the internet and somebody says something that you disagree with, and you can formulate all of these um, caricatured versions of who they are based on that one thing. Like, oh, this person just said that they like cats. I bet they probably like little kids too.
mm-hmm,
But in the gym, some dude, is squatting 495, and he's like, "Actually, I'm a cat person. I don't really like dogs." You're like, "Huh, that's interesting that bros come in more than one flavor." So it's it kind of seems like, and I am happy that gym culture is becoming this like weird mainstream thing, or maybe just my algorithm makes it seem that way, because it's it's like dudes rediscovering being dudes,
mm-hmm.
because so much of the cultural push that has occurred over the last 5 to 10 years has been de-emphasizing and sometimes demonizing normal dude behaviors.
Yeah,
And the gym's like the last place that dudes just go and be dudes.
yeah,
Like the best version of themselves, the nicest guy in the gym is probably the one that looks the most pissed off. Like headphones on, hat on, looking mean the whole time. But as soon as you come up and ask for a spot, it's like, absolutely, bro. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go hit this.
Yeah.
So, what do you think it is that has caused such a decline in the quality of the average friendship? Because to me, dudes having less than 6 close friends at 50% of the rate that they did 30 years ago seems like a big issue to me,
Hmm.
because there's more of an impact on your life as a whole than just your immediate access to friends. Like my dad, for example, he's got some brothers. So I would call them not real brothers, but I would call them Uncle Rod or Uncle Brian, right? And I talk to them maybe once a year,
Hmm.
and they would absolutely show up at the drop of a hat if I said, "Hey, my family's in some trouble and I need some help." And that's a huge support system that men and their sons are missing out on. Why does there seem to be difficulty creating those relationships?
I'm not too sure. I think it could be multiple and many reasons. The first ones that come to mind are probably, I think, just the culture we live in, being obviously social media probably contributes to that. A lot of people work remote, and so there's just less room for social interaction. And like, we're just less of a social society. We have social media, but we don't engage with people in person. And I think that does probably play a big role in degrading the quality of our relationships. Um, I'm sure there's several others. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think the I think some of it's been brought on ourselves. So I'm a big fan of accountability, and a lot of like what men are doing right now, especially in like the red pilled and the manosphere communities, is hating on everybody and victimizing themselves. And there's some merit to some of the stuff that they say, but I prefer always to assume that whatever bad thing has happened, I could have prevented, because that also means I can reverse it.
Hmm.
So when you allow culture to move in a direction that is in opposition with what is right and what is wrong, creates disdain, not just for yourself, but also for everyone else that passively allowed it to happen.
Mm.
So, like, I see dudes on the internet hating on each other all the time for, like, dude gets cheated on, right? It's a 50% of the comments are going to be just a bunch of slurs against women, but then 50% of the comments are going to be calling the dude a cuck, and how could you allow yourself to be taken advantage of like that?
Mm.
And that makes me sad, because there's a little bit of the spirit of accountability in there. Like, hey man, you maybe made some poor character judgments there, or maybe you operated in a way that eroded your relationship over time. But the lack of empathy for something like that you could potentially relate to, or at least imagine, is really, like, it makes me genuinely sad.
Mm.
And that's that kind of tribalism that I'm talking about, where rather than letting one really strong, commonly shared belief create a bond that can withstand disagreements, you sever all potential friendship with somebody for the opposite reason. One thing that they've done or experienced or allowed to happen, or one mistake that they've made, and you don't have a bro mentality of, being there to support them and lift them up. You're
Mm-hmm.
just there hating on them and
Mm-hmm.
beating them down. I don't know what has happened to us that's made that such a, like, why do so many people seem to enjoy hammering each other down, especially among dudes? Like, women lie to each other to lift them up. Men lie to themselves to beat each other down, as if they are incapable of having made the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand what has happened to us that's made that more widespread than trying to lift each other up,
Mm-hmm.
except in the gym community, because the gym community will get like homoerotic about it and be like, dude, I'm really sorry your girl cheated on you, but at least you're still cheeked up.
Right.
Like, you just hit 500 on deadlift the other day, so honestly, it's not that bad, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it seems accumulatively negative.
Mm. I think it is insecurity.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men are insecure, and they either make themselves feel better through tearing other people down, or they're afraid to show their real selves and their genuine selves. And I don't know what contributes to cultural insecurity in men. Maybe it's the feminization and the culture of not giving space for men to be men. Maybe we're all guilty of it too, and it's probably been like that since the dawn of man. But um, I think we can definitely see trends of it getting worse. But I think when I think of getting close with other men and the quality of my relationship being 100%, it's through those disagreements and like moments where we're kind of frictioning with one another and we're having hard conversations, or we go through hard things in life where there's a different side of you that's not perfect and polished that gets exposed. And a lot of guys, I think, are insecure about that. But I think the faster that we can just be real with one another, like you and I, like I've cried in front of you in front of the gym or in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I don't like crying in front of people. That's not my jam.
Mm-hmm.
But we just quickly went to those places and had those moments, and I think it brought us together fast. And you know, you could be close, you could know somebody for many years, but not have those moments like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be closer with the person you know in a less amount of time because you've gone to those places. you know. And I don't feel insecure about crying in front of you. Like
Yeah.
those are real moments.
I don't think. Well, that's a big part of it. I think is I think that one of the cliche things to discuss right now in relationship culture is, should men be vulnerable and expose their feelings to the women in their lives?
Mm.
And that's a topic for another time. But a large demographic would make the argument that women only want to hear about your emotions so that they can use it against you in arguments later.
Mm.
And whether that's true or not, I think that a lot of men have begun to operate as much as possible solo.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of that has bled into not just the way that they interact with women, but with other men as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely crossed my mind to bring up the time that you cried, but I was like, well, I don't know if I should say that on YouTube, but
That's fine.
I'm glad you brought it up, because seeing a man cry as another man, I don't know. I don't know how many men have cried in front of you, but it feels different. Like it's it's a thing to see and experience because as a man, you know that whatever is going on that has brought your brother to that point, it's got to be some heavy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an old friend named Deshaun, and I haven't talked to him in probably about 3 years. But I remember we were working as delivery drivers at a pizza restaurant, and he had been having some. I mean, it was typical high school relationship drama, right? But he didn't really have a good father figure in his life, and so his ability to cope and deal with that stuff was not as matured as it could have been, which is not his fault. So he just had to learn all those lessons the hard way, right? And he on a delivery passed his girlfriend in the car, or his recently ex-girlfriend in the car with another dude on the way back from a delivery. And he came in, and Deshaun is like a 6'2" at the time. I don't know what he looks like now, but at the time he was pretty jacked, black dude. And he comes in, and he's ugly crying, and it that was probably actually the first time that I had seen another man cry in front of me, like not on TV or not just like a soft tear shed, but actually cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, like this feels almost disturbing. Like not that I was disturbed that he would cry, but I knew whatever had the fact that he was at that point meant something heavy was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told him to go home. And I went and I talked to the restaurant manager. I was like, hey, just so you know, I just sent Deshaun home. I wasn't his boss or anything. I wasn't manager. We were both just delivery guys. But I was more than willing to take whatever ass chewing came my way in order to try and help my bro out.
Yeah.
Now you can make the argument that maybe it would have been the more bro move to not, let him get away from having to manage his feelings while he's also got responsibilities. Who knows? But men, I don't think. Well, once you have made the determination to call somebody your friend, I don't think that anybody or that those friends are going to judge you for having those emotional moments. If
Yeah.
anything, it I think it probably makes the friendship stronger because you have greater insight into what things that bro is struggling with at a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we continue to operate with the idea that we have to compartmentalize things and we have to, and I do this myself really poorly, but if we continue to operate as if we have to make everybody think that we're superheroes and that nothing can bring us down, especially in our circle of friends, I think that is far more detrimental than it is positive because it's nobody has close friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's got bros.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, hey, every weekend you and the boys need to get together and have a cry, but you shouldn't. You should understand that if you've got close friends, those dudes want nothing more than to mutually support each other.
Yeah.
And the I mean, obviously because of the channel, I'm always going to bring this back to the gym, but there's something super special about gym culture because we all have the same insecurities. We all have tiny calves. No matter how big our calves are, we all have small calves. We all look skinny all the time or fat all the time. And we're always talking shit on each other for it. Or, well, I take it back. We're always talking shit on ourselves for it. But the boys are like, I don't know, dude. Like, I did. So there's something really special, I think, about dudes being dudes in the gym. And I think that if we can take that as a model, then we could do a lot to impact the culture of brotherhood and,
Mm-hmm.
and bring it back. Like there are other spaces, dudes in the military or law enforcement are probably going to form close bonds, but it's not it's not as widespread as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I wonder what kind of impact that has on the world when every man is trying to operate as a lone wolf rather than create a team around himself.
Mm. I think on the flip side of this too, and I know you don't struggle with this, but I think men confide too much in their wives and or ladies, you know.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
And,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes because of they lack male friendship, they confide way too much in their wife or girlfriend, and it can actually really hinder that relationship because your woman is looking to you to be a leader, to be strong. And while she doesn't want you to be emotionally constipated, so to speak, like, there still needs to be that unwavering, you know, strength in your beliefs. And I think it's those vulnerable moments or those struggles that, in ways, obviously, it goes with discernment, but shielding your wife from some of those weak spots in your armor, so to speak, and having brothers around you to bounce ideas off with or ask them what they think about, whatever it is in your life that you're not sure about is super important. Or even just having like an outlet to like make crude jokes with or talk about video games or like whatever it is that maybe it's a genre of movie that your wife just doesn't get down with, and you kind of have to watch it on your own, but like another brother like is watching that show like Terminalist, like I cannot wait to watch that. But like I can't talk with my wife about Terminalist, it's just too much for her. But I can talk to you about it, and it goes from everything from that to the deeper things in life where you're trying to be strong for your wife, but having brothers around you to be able to confide in is super important.
That was super profound.
Just thought there.
I think that's some great food for thought to leave it on. A big discussion right now in relationship culture is, are men supposed to be more vulnerable with their wives? And I think that if we're trying to get back to a place where it's not taboo anymore to think of men as the leaders of the household, then men also have to come across as the most capable and the most durable so that we can carry the boats.
Yeah.
But we still have to be able to talk about things too. And it's often difficult just because we're made differently for women to even understand why something might be such an issue for us. Like, dudes don't even have to talk about why is Lord of the Rings fantastic. We don't even have to discuss it. We just know.
Mm-hmm.
We just know. Women are like, I mean, yeah, it's good, but dudes watch it and they're like secretly choking up on the inside. Like, when Boromir takes those arrows, that's a big deal. Then women are like, but he was being mean. Why? Not all women, but so that's a really profound observation. So one of the most important reasons to build a strong circle around yourself is so that you can carry the burden, but also learn how to carry it more efficiently with your bros.
Yeah.
Well, chew on that one for a little bit. I'm going to be chewing on that for, man, that was a heavy one. That was a really fucking good observation.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, all right, cool. Continue that conversation in comments to all probably 6 of my subscribers that I'll have by the time this goes out on YouTube. But I greatly appreciate that conversation, man. Any quick thoughts to leave it off on?
No, I think it's just a good conversation to ask yourself, am I not being vulnerable enough with my significant other? Am I sharing too much? Take inventory of the brothers in our lives, and our relationships, and, kind of assess what we need to do. I think it's good for me, just a good reminder for me too.
Yeah.
So
reach out to a bro and ask him how he's doing. Like, really ask him. Because when you ask him, he's going to be like, oh, I'm all right, man. But be like, no, shut the hell up. How are you doing? What's going on in life? What are you thinking about? What's weighing on you? And reciprocate. So,
yeah.
All right. Peace out.